It's story time!
Today's story is Tree Story.
Then one morning, without any warning, everything changed in the forest forever. When 3 men entered and began to nail signs on some of the trees, a nervous silence was unmistakable in the forest the next morning.
You can remain silent if that is what you wish. Ignore it if that is what you choose. I refuse to do either.
They had come to save and protect the woods from being destroyed.
We can continue to grow, Sycamore. Remember the code of our land. Long live the family tree!
The peaceful calm of the past few months quickly faded away. The entire forest was frightened. The animals hurried to seek shelter.
I'm not willing to be a coffee table inside the home of some human. Are we just gonna stand here and allow them to uproot our families?
Moments later, the loggers came to the site the Sycamore family had called home for so many years. Chainsaws in hand, they approached Grandfather Sycamore first. It seemed that Grandfather Sycamore had been in the forest forever, yet it only took a matter of minutes to end 100 years of history. Grandmother Sycamore watched them load Grandfather on a log truck parked nearby. As the truck rolled off into the distance and out of sight, she was certain that she had seen him for the last time. When the workers had gone that evening, all that remained were a few family trees left standing in a bare, cold, and lonely field. Grandfather Sycamore, meanwhile, was having a surprisingly good time on the logging truck.
Oh, look! Is that a train?
He said to himself.
I've heard their whistles, but I never knew what they looked like.
4 days later, after riding many miles and resting at truck stops, Grandfather Sycamore arrived at a lumber yard. Once inside the lumber mill, Grandfather Sycamore was surprised when he noticed that his old friend Grandfather Birch had been stacked nearby.
Birch, is that you?
It's me, Sycamore.
Good to see you, my friend. Very good to see you.
How long do you think they'll keep us here?
I don't know.
The workers in the mill hustled to manufacture the lumber as though they were on a deadline for final shipment. As they whittled Grandfather Birch down into small planks, he shouted out to the other family trees.
We will not be denied, my friends! Long live the family tree!
It began to seem as though that final day in the lumber mill would be the last time the family trees would ever be together again. However, weeks later, the Robinson family moved into their new house. The movers carefully took a grandfather clock from out of the moving van. As they carried it toward the house, it quickly became obvious that this clock was Grandfather Sycamore in his new form.
Birch, is that really you?
It's me, and it's just like I told you, Sycamore. A coffee table inside of someone's house. There really is no justice.
But it could be worse. You could be here by yourself.
Yes, and now I'm going to have to listen to you chiming at all hours of the day and night.
A month after the Robinson family had moved into their new house, their son was in the front yard playing baseball with some of his new friends. The baseball bat that they used was made out of Grandson Sycamore. One of the kids pitched the baseball to the Robinson boy. As he swung the bat, it flew out of his hand, soared through the air, and struck the wood siding on the Robinsons' house. When he hit the house, Grandson Sycamore heard a loud scream. Ah! He swiftly realized that he had smacked up against Grandmother Sycamore.
Grandmother, it's so good to see you. There's so much to tell you. Everyone is here.
Grandfather?
Grandfather's here. He's a clock.
A clock? What about your father, Junior?
Father's here, in the house. He's part of the bunk beds that this kid sleeps in.
What about your mother?
Mom's here, too. She's one of the cabinets in the kitchen. And Grandfather Birch is here. He's a coffee table.
What about your sister?
I haven't seen her.
Then one afternoon, the Robinsons' daughter returned home from school. She tripped over the baseball bat that her brother had left in the front yard. Her books went flying everywhere. One of the books landed on top of the baseball bat. That book was The Family Tree. Grandson Sycamore was shocked to discover that his sister had become a copy of the book. Now all of the family trees were back together again. The end. Finally.
Hey, Grandfather, there's that narrator again. I thought you sent her home.
I did, Junior.
Well, how come I can hear her?
I had her record that before I sent her home.